Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to Old Dad's Studio. Today we're going to do a little bit of a follow-up to my appointment yesterday at the Starkey Hearing of Excellence, where I was fitted for a pair of hearing aids, and actually this is what they look like. Alright, anyway, they're very tiny, very small. So those are the hearing aids that I was fitted for yesterday. There's a left and a right, so they only, of course, only go in one way. And I've been playing with them today. Now, my initial excitement yesterday has waned a little bit today now that I've been wearing them all day and I've been playing with them. And just to let folks know, I have just a very mild to moderate hearing loss. My hearing loss is not that bad at this point in time. I do have tinnitus, that high-pitched ringing in your ears, so I've got that as well. And really the two things that I went in there for and talked to them about was, one was the tinnitus that I have, or tendinitis, however you pronounce it. I usually use tinnitus, I think is how I try to say it. So I went in there for two things to talk to them about, the tinnitus and then also the situations where I'm having a lot of trouble hearing. And usually those situations are when I'm in a crowd or at like a sporting event like I was tonight, and there's a lot of noise around me. I have a hard time hearing. I've also been noticing there's times when my wife is facing away from me or maybe in front of me and she's facing away, but she's still talking to me. I'm not hearing what she's saying. I can hear that she's talking, but I can't make out the words that she is saying. It's true when we're hiking or something as well, we're going on a walk. She's in front of me and facing away from me. I have a hard time hearing. So there's a few situations, few scenarios like that where I'm having difficulty hearing where I wasn't before. And so that's why what prompted me to go in for the hearing test and to find out that I do have a mild to moderate hearing loss. Now, when I talked to them, one of the things that they did say is that the masking tool they have for the tinnitus isn't 100%. That because tinnitus is something that moves and has variation to it. Sometimes it could be louder, sometimes it could be softer, sometimes the noise, the pitch could change. That it's not going to cover 100%. And that's what I have found out. Yesterday when I was driving home in the truck, I didn't hear any tinnitus at all because of the masking program, but I also had the noise of the truck. I did hear a little bit last night when I was home, and I did play with it a little bit to try and adjust it. But today, then I've been working on it some more, and I started this morning doing a couple things. One was laying in my bed and having the headphones in while the house was still quiet. Everybody was sleeping. There was no noise. I turned off. Usually I sleep with a fan and some white noise. I turned all of that off, so it was just silent, and all I could hear was the ringing in my ears. I put in the headphones, turned on the masking program, and then just sitting there with hearing nothing but the tinnitus, tried to match the masking sound to match perfectly with what I was hearing right then to mask it out. And I wasn't able to do that. Now, I don't have all of the adjustments on my phone that they have at the office. When they open their program up to actually look at my hearing aids in the office, there's a whole range of selections and adjustments that I don't have on the application on my phone. So it might be that we could tune it a little bit better in the office than what I was trying to this morning with just the limited adjustments I have on my phone. That might be possible. But I couldn't get it tuned to exactly mask out the tinnitus that I was having this morning. I could overwhelm it, and then I would hear the hissing of the masking program. So I had the choice of either hearing the tinnitus that I was here, that I normally hear, or I could hear the white noise that was trying to mask it out from their program. Neither one of those is a great option. I was really hoping to find that sweet spot where their masking noise could be just loud enough where it didn't bother me and it masked out my tinnitus sound, but I couldn't do it. So I played around with that for a while. The other thing that I've noticed with these is that I'm not super impressed with the quality of sound that they're putting out. So I played with it this morning because I noticed it yesterday. First thing I did is I took a phone call, and I thought, wow, I had the volume all the way up, and I was having a really hard time hearing that phone call. Okay, maybe I've got some settings set wrong on my phone. I'll try adjusting it. And I did, and then tested the phone call again today, and it wasn't any better, and I couldn't make it louder. And once you take a phone call or are playing music or are doing something else outside of the Starkey application that's on your phone, the Starkey application itself shuts off as far as you using it for adjustments, and says that there is a streaming process that's happening outside of the application, and all of the application settings are down. So any of the settings that you want to change as far as volume or anything while you're on, while you're listening to this, and it's using functionality of the phone, like the phone or music or YouTube or video, whatever you're doing, you have to use the controls on the phone rather than the application for these. And I could not make it louder. And again, maybe I'm doing something wrong. This is day one of these, so I'm going to play around with it more and see if I can figure out if there's some other settings or something else that I could do. I did turn off there is a setting in the iPhone for loud sound protection. I forget exactly what it's called. It's in your sound and haptics on the iPhone, and it's to protect you from having too loud of sound in your earbuds. I turned that off just to see if that would help and adjust things, but that didn't help at all. So I'm not sure what's happening, but not only could I not make it loud enough, but the quality of the sound on that phone call was really poor. And so that made me think, I probably should test this for sound quality for some other things. So I started today going through the different types of earbuds and headphones and things that I have to test it for quality against other devices that I have. Now, the worst ones that I have, the very absolute bottom barrel as far as quality goes, is these guys right here. So these are wired in the earbuds. These are the free earbuds that you receive from Delta when you get on a plane. And they give them to you so you can plug them in and listen to a movie that's playing on the back of the seat. They're super cheap. They're given away as free, gifts as far as Delta goes. I carry an extra pair of these in my luggage in case I have a problem with my Bose headphones that I normally carry with me. And then I still have I have a spare. So I carry one of these as a spare. Now the sound quality of this, when I plug it into my phone, and the sound or the song that I use to test applications or test what I use to test with, is the 1994 version of Hotel California, which was on MTV. It was the live version where they have all the acoustic guitars in the beginning of that song, and then it ramps up into the actual Hotel California. A lot of bass in that, a lot of high tone, high pitch sounds in that. So there's a wide range. It's a fantastic song. When you've got really good acoustics, it sounds just totally amazing. So I can hear it, but the quality is really, really bad in these. And you can tell the quality is bad. They don't balance the sound well between the two ears. One's louder, one's softer. The high tones are all crappy, and it's tinny, and there's no bass. And so as far as setting a low bar, these are the guys, right? So this pair right here set the bar. So I compared these to my hearing aids. Now the sound quality of the hearing aids is much, much better than the sound quality of these. So right off the bat, I'm like, okay, all right, so they're not as bad as the freebies from Delta. So then I started going up the list. Now I have a pair of AirPod Pros. I don't have them here at my desk. They're actually upstairs, but somebody is getting put to sleep right now, and I didn't want to disturb them in the room, so I didn't go up there to bring them down. So they're upstairs in the room. They're the next set that I tested against the quality, just the sound quality of the hearing aids. Now, you might say, well, Dave, you're testing AirPods that are made specifically to pair with the other Apple products. They're specifically used for earbuds, and of course they're going to have really good sound because that's what they're made for. But that's what these are made for too. Not only are they supposed to be your hearing aids, but they're supposed to replace all of your earbuds as well, because you're going to keep these in all day long. And when your phone rings, or you pick up, or you flick on TikTok or YouTube or whatever you're going to turn on your phone, these are already engaged. So the sound goes right to these in your ear. So these become your default earbuds as well. So I would expect the sound quality of these to be at least as good as AirPods. They're not. So that's where the line kind of fell. So it went the Delta freebies, number 2 for what I have in the house, became my hearing aids. Now, the sound quality from these versus the Delta freebies, there's a huge difference there, right? So these are much better quality than the Delta freebies. However, when I got to the AirPods, especially when you have the spatial, where it gives you that spatial sound, it's supposed to be like surround sound, only even a little bit better. When you have that turned on for your AirPod Pros, the sound quality is just incredible. And it does. It feels like it's surrounding you. The quality is really good. It hits some pretty good bass, not huge bass, but it has some bass in it. It handles all of the high tones very, very well. It's crisp. It's clean. The sound was really good. So the sound for those was much better than these. So that's where the line got drawn, was right there. Now I started, but I wanted to test more, right? So I tested the freebies, the AirPod Pros, and I will say the AirPod Pros that I have are are last generation. I don't have the AirPod, and I don't know if they're called Pros now or if they're called something else. I can look it up. But the ones that Apple puts out that can also be used as hearing aids, I don't have those. I just have the normal AirPod Pros. So but they beat these out. The next step up is my Sony, and these are, let's see, this is the model, I think these are MDRs. Is that what this is? This is yes, MDR. So these are my Sony MDRs. So this was the next step that I went against those. Of course, the sound quality of these is fantastic. These are really good, amazing bass. Especially if you turn the bass feature on these, it's really good. So the sound quality is good, way, way better than the hearing aids. So again, though, this is an over-the-ear headphone, not an in-the-ear bud. So of course they're bigger. They have bigger speakers. I'm not saying, well, I'm going to make a point here in a minute, but of course there's bigger, larger, more powerful hardware here than there is in those little guys. Now, the last one I tested it against was what I think is my best set of headphones in the house. These are my Bose. And so I've got a set of these Bose. This is what I travel with when I go on the airplane. I bring these with. They have the sound canceling feature in them as well. But when you listen to Hotel California, that version, on this set of headphones, and then you try any of the other ones that I have, except, I mean, the Sony MDRs are pretty good as well, but these guys beat them all. And when you hear that really big, rich bass come through on these, and the high tones are nice, they're so crisp, it's just amazing. So the sound quality of these is really, really good. So they set the standard high, where these set the standard low. Although I will say, for freebies, at least I can hear, right? I can make out the sounds and the music and stuff. I have had to use these on the plane before. The plane is very loud, so they kind of get drowned out a little bit, but they're still usable. Those there are. Now, my point in all of this, and comparing my hearing aids to these big, massive Bose and Sony headsets. The reason for that is that this is a hearing aid and technology company, right? This is what they do. They specialize in this. And this set of hearing aids, when you compare the price, these are 50 times more expensive than my AirPod Pros. if I'm paying 50 times the price of my AirPod Pros, my expectation for a set of hearing aids that cost that much money from a company that specializes in that technology is pretty darn high. My expectation is going to be these things are going to rock. They don't. Today is still day one, right? I've tested them as far as like the sound quality goes. Maybe there's some settings, again, that they have at the office that they can adjust to make the sound quality better than what I'm hearing. So I'm going to leave a little bit of expectation out there that there is something that can be done and to improve the quality of the sound that's coming out of these, as well as the loudness. They're hearing aids. They're supposed to help me hear, and I can barely even hear a phone call on them, especially when there's background noise. So one of the phone calls I took that I've had in the last 2 days was in a crowded room. I was in the lobby of a bar waiting to go in to get seated at a bar, and I could barely hear anything. I ended up taking the hearing aids out, or taking a hearing aid out, turning the phone onto the phone mode to take the call, and putting the phone up to my ear, and I could hear way better than in the earbud with those. So again, maybe there's something we can adjust. We'll keep playing with it. That's even with me turning like volumes and things all the way up. It's still at that point. Okay, so that's just the sound quality and where I've come to so far. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was today we went to the men's Minnesota Mavericks hockey game. They won, by the way, tonight 5-2. So congratulations to the Mavericks. It was a great game. But while I was there, I tested out all of the AI features that are in their app to try to adjust the sound so I could hear better while we were there. It's a very loud environment. Crowds, there's the overhead speakers. Sometimes they're playing loud music. Sometimes there's people talking over the PA system. So the environment really varies, and it's very, very loud. And to the credit of the folks at Starkey, when I told them this is one of the scenarios that I had, they said, well, it might struggle with that just because there is so much noise and everything in the environment. Now, I tried the different settings of AI. There's a couple of things that I noticed about the AI. One is there's 3 different settings in there. But every time I would set it, so let's say I wanted to set it so what I thought the setting was to try to pull out voices, and so I could hear Anne's voice, and I would save it. And then I would leave it set like that. When I would go back into the Edge technology, which is their AI, the first thing it would do is it would like check the environment itself and choose the customized one. And default back to that. Even though I had already chosen the one that I wanted and saved it, if I go back into the program, it automatically reevaluates and changes your settings. So I wasn't a huge fan of that particular option or that particular design of the software, because if I just wanted to go back in and see what did I have that set at, that actually worked well for me, let me go back and take a look. I couldn't go back and take a look because every time I went in, it reevaluated and chose the customized one. So that wasn't the best experience with that particular application, aside from the fact that no matter how I set it, and I tried every single setting, including going in, you can go in and change some custom settings yourself. Nothing I did had any type of discernible impact at all. Each time I would change the settings, give it a while, let it sink in, see if there's anything that I could tell as I was talking and I was moving. Nothing. I would go try the next one, nothing. And again, it's a very difficult environment, but it didn't seem to help me at all at the hockey arena. The one small thing that I think the hearing aids did for me overall, no matter what setting I had it on, and although I did turn the sensitivity all the way up at one point, was when I was facing forward, my son was sitting next to me, and then my wife was in the next seat over. When she would turn to me and say my name, I could hear her and I could turn and see. Now, sometimes if I didn't have the hearing aids in, I could hear. Sometimes I don't hear. It just depends on on how loud everything else is around. But tonight, pretty consistently, I could hear her say my name. However, as soon as I turned my head to look at her, then I'm turning my ear away from her. What I'm guessing is the microphone in these is very directional. And as I turned my head, whatever amplification I was getting to hear her say my name was lost, and I would be looking at her and she'd be talking to me, and I would be, again, struggling to hear what she was saying most of the time. But 2 rows back, there was a bunch of kids between, I'm guessing the ages of 6 to 8, who were screaming and squealing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff throughout the game. Every time I turned my head, their voices got picked up by the amplification of these. So whatever, and I don't know if it's because it was a certain range of frequencies of their voices and they were 2 rows behind us, but their voices got picked up and were amplified, and I could hear their conversation, or their squealing and screaming and everything very, very clearly and very loudly in the ear that was pointed at them. So that directional help that I was getting when I was looking forward and Anne said my name this way was lost as soon as I turned to look at her, and then I couldn't hear her anymore. So overall, not a great first day experience with the hearing aids and the AI that's built into them. The AI didn't seem to help one bit, and no matter what setting I had it set on. So I'll keep playing with it. I'm not going to give up just after one day. It's very possible, since this is my first day trying and playing and using them, that I am doing something wrong, and maybe the problem is me. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to continue to try to improve the sound quality that I'm getting out of these, really tweak some more to see if I can get the tinnitus masking program to match me better. I might have to wait a couple of weeks when I go back for my next visit with them to tweak it some more to see if that's possible. If maybe there's just some settings they can do that I can't that will help that. So we'll try that. But overall, we'll keep working with them and see what we can do. But the one thing that really gets me is just the cost of these compared to all of my other headphones that I have that are so much less expensive. The quality of the sound that I'm getting from these should at least match those. That's a hard pill to swallow, that piece of it right there. All right, that's going to be it for this vlog today. Well, that's good because my lights are dying. And we'll catch you next time at Old Dad Studio. See you tomorrow.